How they hangin' dino dudes? It's me, the Media Raptor, and welcome back to another episode of Reaction and Review with the Media Raptor. Now, for the few of you who saw my Blade Trinity review, you'll know that came out a bit late into June during Marvel May, and I said, well, this is the second last episode of Marvel May. Now, that was the last episode of Marvel May 4 Infinity Gauntlet. It's been dragging on a bit too much, so I want to keep moving, especially with the movie we got lined up for tonight. Tonight, we got a 2018 animated movie called... Oh, that sucked. Batman Ninja. I am super excited to see this movie, but a couple things about it. When it was first announced, just the title, I thought, okay, that sounds awesome. Then I saw the trailer. Batman, I think, was a samurai instead of a ninja, but still, it looks awesome. Then I started hearing some feedback on it. See, one YouTuber, well, he's not a YouTuber, he's a film critic who also, film director who happens to be a YouTuber, Kevin Smith. He watched the trailer and they were talking about what they thought about it. He pretty much summarized exactly what I thought. It could be amazing, but it didn't seem to be a direct sort of taking of any story, so let's see how it goes. And when it came out, it made a pretty big impact. Like, everyone was like, Batman Ninja, it's so cool. And then some people started going, yeah, really? It's not that good. And then it sort of evened out to sort of like what it is now. I've heard a lot of mixed things about this movie. In fact, when I bought this movie, I got a message from a friend saying, hey, I heard you got Batman Ninja. It's a weird movie, dude. It's a weird movie. And he said he loved everything except for the ending, so I really don't know anything other than what I read on the back. And by the way, these character designs are freaking amazing. But I do know it's a anime-style Batman movie. And the only other thing I want to kind of clarify before I start it is I'm not watching with Japanese audio and English subtitles. I'm watching it with English audio for two reasons. One, I really can't tell if a Japanese audio track is good or bad. And that's not me trying to sound offensive or anything or insensitive. I'm just not used to it yet, so judging it is kind of hard. Furthermore, Batman was an American-made character who is then being turned into a Japanese anime, so it makes more sense that way. Also, Roger Craig Smith is in this. You know, Sonic the Hedgehog and Ezio Auditore da Firenze. That fact is also amazing, the fact that he plays both those two of my favorite gaming characters. Anyhow, you guys, I'm super excited for this, so what say we all kick back, relax, and check out Batman Ninja. So I know it's kind of a general rule of thumb that when I randomly talk about a movie about 10 seconds in, it's either something really bad has happened. Not this time. The animation is amazing. It is a very distinct, anime style. And the shading, the blending, the coloring, it looks so good. Okay. I don't mean to sound mean or whatever, to people who clearly worked hard on this. But this is the worst Joker I have ever seen. Not only his design, but his voice. I'm genuinely considering switching over to the Japanese audio because I cannot stand his voice. Everyone else at least is doing decently. It's just kind of off, I guess. But the Joker sounds not even like what you'd hear in Young Justice Abridged or something like that. He does not... It's just terrible. Okay, I would be lying if I said that wasn't actually totally just amazing on so many levels. Kind of a spoiler here, but not really. A Japanese temple turning into a giant mech sort of thing. It's amazing. I still hate the Joker in this. And to be honest, the animation is kinda not as good in a lot of places, but that's just super cool. And I like the idea that they're kinda stripping Batman away of everything, all the tech he had to make him fight mano a mano, sort of like an actual ninja. That's cool. Alright, so admittedly, while this movie has the good and the bad, you know, I'll talk all about that in the actual review, the fight scenes in this are amazing, and this lighting is terrible because it's cloudy outside and these lights aren't that good.
But in this world, trust means nothing. Now, you will submit to my control.
Honestly, didn't see that twist coming there, but kind of probably should have. My point is, this fight scenes are great. I have no idea what just happened, and the movie doesn't seem to know either. Like, it completely just changed the animation style. It's weird. So I'm currently watching a bunch of ninja shogun temples that were also giant robots form into one giant mecha robot. Almost anywhere else, I would be screaming that this is the coolest thing I have ever seen. Yeah, everybody's saying this is one of the coolest things they've ever seen, and that the soundtrack is awesome. But it's not! And I know why. It's not Batman. This isn't Batman. This thing started out being one of the coolest Batman stories I've ever seen. The idea of Batman being trapped in, being trapped in feudal Japan with, none of his technology and having to fight to get back home. I'm even fine with the idea of, some of the Industrial Revolution stuff having been brought to feudal Japan with, the future knowledge. That's kind of cool. But with this, when you've got this giant robot blowing stuff up, it's not Batman. If it was Superman, even the Teen Titans, or Lobo, or so many more other characters, this would have been awesome. But again, this is not Batman. Never thought I'd really be bored during a samurai sword fight between Batman and the Joker. Yet, I kinda am. I mean, it's awesome, but at the same time, I was just taken so far out of this that this final fight has barely any sort of, real tension to it for me. There's no sense of, this is the final showdown, this is just, we kinda had to do this, so here it is. This movie is weird. And it almost, now that I think about it, it kind of looks like a really kind of mid-2000s PS2 game. Is what the animation looks like sometimes. Which should probably tell you a lot about this movie. And that was Batman Ninja. That, honestly, was pretty disappointing. Hang on. From what I've learned... Hang on. From what I've learned from these DC Universe animated movies... Well, for one, this isn't technically part of the DC animated pantheon. So you kind of gotta judge it on its own. And... such an awesome idea. So many problems, though. I know I am usually incredibly optimistic. I give, Sharknado, 4 Raptor claws out of 4. I claim that, I love these DC animated movies. I haven't really seen one yet that I genuinely thought, that kind of sucked. Aside from Under the Red Hood, which even after rewatching, I'm kind of going to re-review at some point, because I think it's a lot better than I remembered. This is probably the worst one I've seen so far, but it is not unwatchable. It is not horrible beyond words. In fact, it's good. But it is very disappointing with what it could have been. So let me explain to you the one reason why Batman Ninja has such a hard time being this amazing what could have been this groundbreaking movie that could have started its own sort of universe of animated DC anime films. It's not Batman. That's its issue. See, throughout the movie, up to the first half is amazing because it is very much Batman being Batman. In fact, they're even building on an idea which I love, which is, what if you take away all of Batman's tech? So no Batcave, no Batmobile, no Batcycle. Yes, spoilers are kind of here, but it's honestly kind of predictable. Like, what if you take away the technology that makes Batman, but you leave the idea of Batman, the shadow of the Bat, the guy who was trained by the League of Assassins, all that kind of stuff. And then you dump him in the middle of ancient Japan, where like the Joker and Poison Ivy and the Penguin and Deathstroke and Two-Face and Grodd and Bane briefly, even though Bane was a total joke and was a huge waste of, like, essentially just a waste of time and a character. Sorry, hang on. Got the skin of popcorn stuck on like the roof of my mouth sometimes. And like a waste of one of my favorite Batman characters, or Batman villains. Yeah, like, so what happens when they're all sent back in time and Batman has to try and get back while dealing with them? Awesome idea. And for a while, they really build it up. He goes at them like he used to as normal Batman, only to find out, wait, this won't work. He has to become a ninja. There's a literal clan called the Bat Clan who follow this prophecy that a fallen ninja with a mask of a bat would come and save them when the land got too hectic. This stuff is setting up to be this fantastic, beautiful, action-packed anime starring Batman. Then we have giant mech castles, which form into a bigger mech castle that all fight each other. And we have monkeys that respond to a flute. That one I'm willing to let slide a bit more because of Grodd. And we have technology which shouldn't exist as good as they have it for hundreds of years, even though they do say the Industrial Revolution did kind of start a bit early. There's no way it should be as good as it is. And it just takes you right out of the movie. You guys, if I was taken out of the movie, you gotta know that something is not right. Batman has never been a character who would just see, like, you would be like reading a Batman comic and go, oh wow, a giant mech that forms into bigger mechs made out of Japanese temples. This is normal. Now, yes, I know Batman has fought some pretty weird characters before, and yes, the Justice League has taken on giant mechs before. But the thing is, when you call your movie Batman Ninja, and your big samurai sword fight, even though technically then you should have called the movie Batman Samurai, when you're really not interested, in fact, even borderline bored, during the final big climactic showdown, something isn't right. Not only that, the characterization for two characters in this kind of really just did not work. One, Deathstroke. I love the design of the Japanese versions of these characters. It is awesome. In fact, this whole film would have been amazing if it was Batman and Deathstroke, not Grodd, Two-Face, the Joker, Penguin, and so on, Poison Ivy. If it was just Batman and Deathstroke who for some reason got sent back in time and then Deathstroke became like a shogun essentially, it would have been so cool. But there's one line that really kind of just went like, no. Where Deathstroke says, soon we'll find out who's the deadliest leader in all of Japan, okay? And then he goes, yeah. I know this is me being a total comic nerd, but that isn't how Deathstroke acts. He was cold, calculating, violent, psychopathic, trying to kill a group of teenagers. He isn't the kind of guy who would be like, you know what? I just took over an entire country. Yeah. He'd be like, I took over this part of Japan. Who's next? And as for Bane, they turned him into a brief sumo wrestler cameo, which the design is really not that good, and he gets taken out in about literally 15 seconds. So, sorry. What was the point of having him aside from showing him in like a bathrobe thong thing. Also, the Joker... Can we stop using the Joker? Like, he's a good villain, yes, but he's not the only villain DC has, and I'm getting tired of him. Especially when they write him poorly, which is what the past bunch of iterations of the Joker I've seen have been. He's smart. He's calculating. Yes, he's psychopathic. Yes, he's genocidal. Yes, he does not care about anything or anyone. He just wants to laugh at other people's misery. But he also does it in a certain way. He is smart. He never tells the same joke twice. He never repeats himself. And he doesn't exactly want Batman just straight up dead. He wants to try and kill Batman, but he also knows he needs Batman. Like... It's not just like, oh, hey, I'm just gonna take over and, then I'm gonna kill Batman because poor writing. Yeah. And I'll talk about the other reason why I really didn't like Joker in a minute, but this movie's story seemed so disconnected. It seemed like they had 8 ideas and were trying to mash them into one, and didn't really finish any of them. That final battle I was mentioning where they have to take on Two-Face, like all the villains... You don't even see any of them get defeated. And yet they're like, yeah, we defeated them. Just accept it. And then at the end of the movie, spoilers here, where they go back in time, you don't see any of the villains. Did they just murder them? Did they leave them behind? Did they, put chains around their legs, throw them in the lake, and watch them get pulled to the bottom? I don't know. Did the villains all go off and open the first Menchies in ancient Japan? That could be it. The movie doesn't know. They don't tell us. So I'm going to accept that as the true ending. That's why we have Menchies. Because a bunch of DC villains sent back in time by a talking monkey decided to not, instead of fighting Batman, they were going to open a frozen yogurt restaurant. Yeah, I know that doesn't make sense. Neither does this movie. And the thing is, the reason why I think it upsets me so much is the potential is so awesome! Have you guys seen The Wolverine? It's one of my favorite Marvel movies. It shows us what happens when a character who has roots in samurai and Japanese training gets to go and fight off against samurai, ninja, yakuza, and it works! Batman was literally trained by ninjas. How do you mess it up this badly? Now, that's not to say that the movie isn't without its good parts. While the ending fight I was kind of just not that invested in, it is still a very good fight scene. The fight scenes throughout are really good. I like the idea, of stripping Batman away, stripping everything away from Batman so he has nothing and yet has to work with it. I love the designs of the feudal characters, aside from Joker. Like, there's a lot of good here, but also a lot of bad. Speaking of bad, this is some of the worst voice acting I have heard in a while for the Joker. It is just painful. I forget the guy who played him, but the thing is, his voice, he is trying so hard to channel Mark Hamill's Joker, and yet it doesn't work. Excuse me. His voice is too high and too, his voice keeps cracking, essentially. Nothing he says, he's saying everything trying to be like the Joker, but any time where he's supposed to say something, funny or something the Joker would say that would be cool to hear, it doesn't sound like the Joker is saying it. It sounds a lot more like this sounds a lot like a fan dub, like a fan film more than anything. Hang on. Yeah, Tony Hale plays the Joker. I don't know what he did wrong, because looking at what he's done on IMDb, he does have some actually pretty good things in here. Stuff like Arrested Development and Veep. This guy, I've seen him in those. He's a good actor, and yet he completely drops the ball here. Most of the acting is just okay. No one really stands out as anything overly amazing. And the funny thing is, there's this one scene which I thought they completely messed up, and then it turns out, no, actually, it was actually a pretty interesting twist on it, where the Joker, spoilers here, hypnotizes himself to convince Batman he's lost his memories, and he therefore convinces himself he has. See, during that time, though, Tony Hale is fantastic, and some of the deliveries for the Joker are great. It just seems like DC just sort of took the first take on everything and didn't bother doing it again. Roger Craig Smith, despite how weird it sounded at first, is actually a pretty decent Batman. Yeah, the guy who plays Sonic the Hedgehog and Ezio is actually good as Batman. Tom Kenny is playing the Penguin again. If you didn't know that, he played the Penguin in The Batman, which was still a pretty good show, actually. I think the design of the Joker was better in that than in this. And I really like the guy who played Gorilla Grodd. Like, the acting is good. And then we get to the best and one of the worst parts, aside from the Joker's voice actor. The animation. Some of this animation is breathtaking. Like, I want to get it framed on a wall. Amazing. Then, the character models change throughout the movie more than once in a few shots, and it looks really jarring. You see, there are some scenes where characters have to wear like a hat with like the string to hold it down, and their mouth goes through the string. Like, it just does not... It's animation mistakes that even I'm noticing, and I can barely tell when acting is good or not now. Like, I've been known, people have said that I judge movies on their entertainment value, not their quality, and even I'm seeing like these noticeable animation flaws. The design of the characters, though, is awesome. Like I said, I love the look of all the characters, of Ninja Batman, the idea of like Two-Face literally still being split. I love the Penguin, Grodd, even Harley Quinn looks pretty good. I don't like the Joker, that's because I'm kind of just don't like the Joker in general. I don't like how Red Hood looks. He looks kind of stupid. And then some scenes, namely with the Joker, I don't know why it was just him. It seems like they wanted to do 3D animation in a 2D setting, or 2D animation in a 3D setting, and it looks, like I said, like a really bad PS1 or PS2 game. And this is a Japanese animation studio in 2018 with the Batman license. So, yeah. Animation is beautiful to look at, and during the fight scenes, when it actually matters, it's really good. But then there are some scenes where it just looks terrible. And I don't know why. Like, it feels like this movie wasn't actually completed yet, and they shipped it out anyways. And what do I mean by not completed, aside from, the animation? Well, the audio. There are a lot of times when people get hit, or they actually are moving really fast and you would hear sound effects, where there's nothing. Like, people get full-on, like, punched in the face, hit with a staff, and there's no audio, like, sound effects to go along with it, and it just is just jarring. Again, it takes you out of the immersion of it. The music, there's very little music, which surprised me, because it could have been a great time to use a very beautiful Feudal Japan soundtrack. I love that kind of music. Especially when I'm relaxing, writing, or trying to draw. It's calming, focusing, and beautiful. And yet they don't really use it. So at the end of the day, can I recommend Batman Ninja? Yes and no. I mean, I'm giving it 2 Raptor claws out of 4. At the end of the day, while the plot is terrible and the voice, just watch it with the Japanese dub, the fight scenes do somewhat make up for it. It's not a great movie. It's not the groundbreaking animated film I was hoping it to be, like with The Dark Knight Returns. It's just good. I paid $27 for it. I paid $5 more because I wanted to get the steelbook of it, because I just think steelbooks are cool. Although I only own like 2. The other one I think that I can remember off the top of my head is A Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one, because I got that thing signed by Robert Englund, actually. But yeah, so really, if you're one of those guys who likes to try and get all of the DC animated films like I'm trying to, you'll probably pick up Batman Ninja eventually. If you're really, really, really curious, go ahead and give it a watch. It's not like you'll hate yourself for it, but at the same time, go to Best Buy because they're selling the Blu-ray combo for $20. And I bought mine at Sunrise Records. The main reason I didn't buy it at Best Buy is because they didn't have Blu-ray, which is the main thing I buy now, because these come with DVD, so it's just like a $2 price difference, but it's worth it because you get extra ways to watch it, and Steelbook is cooler. But yeah, Batman Ninja, a lot of awesome potential, and don't get me wrong, there are some really good things about it, like the acting and the fight scenes and some of the animation. But all in all, at the end of the day, it's not very memorable. Aside from how weird it is or how bad some scenes were. So with that being said, I'm going to go watch Suicide Squad Hell to Pay. I'm not going to do an R&R on it because I haven't seen it yet, but I just want to relax. I just need to watch something else. Hopefully it's as good as Assault on Arkham, which I kind of think is an underrated DC animated film. But anyhow, you guys, until next time, this is the Media Raptor saying keep cool, and I will see all you dino dudes around. Later.